It's now the turn of Honorable Amin Anta, Doctor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the debate on the motion for this House to approve the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana for the 2021 financial year. Now, Mr. Speaker, before I make my direct contributions, I'd like to correct some impressions that have been created in relation to the management of the energy sector by the MPP government. Yesterday, the Honorable Dela Sowa stated, and she was very emphatic.
Sorry, Honorable Member, First Deputy Speaker to take the chair.
I have to continue.
Yes, Honorable Member, please continue.
Yes. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Dela Sowa stated, and she was very emphatic about this, that this government, the MPP government, has been extending electricity to towns in Togo when there are communities in Ghana without city. Mr. Speaker, the most recent works on extension of electricity to border towns in Togo was done in two phases. The first phase was in 2009 and 2010, and the second phase in 2014 and 2015. The MPP government has not undertaken any such projects. Mr. Speaker, she also said that we are using poles and materials belonging to Ghana to extend electricity to Togo, towns in Togo. Mr. Speaker, that is not factual. The materials and poles that were used in these projects were funded by the West Africa Power Pool. It's not money provided by the government of Ghana for these projects. And so, Mr. Speaker, the MPP government has not done such projects. Now, Mr. Speaker, our friends on the other side have argued variously that if we have excess capacity in Ghana, we should be exporting some of the power that we produce. And I'm wondering why they have problem extending electricity to towns in Togo. Because if we don't extend electricity to towns in our neighboring countries, how do we export to them? Because these countries do not have the kind of infrastructure that we have. And this happens to border towns because of their proximity to Ghana's infrastructure. And so even if we have to do that, I don't think there is a problem with that, because it then provides the basis for us to export our excess capacity to our neighboring countries. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable member from the other side, Honorable Kobnet Donko, also tried to downplay the effect of excess capacity on our economy and our finances generally. But Mr. Speaker, the issue of our excess capacity is real. We have excess capacity. And when we talk of excess capacity, that is capacity that has been contracted, availability is declared, but it's not taken by the government. That is excess capacity. And I can mention several plants that have declared availability and yet government is not ready to take. That is excess capacity. For example, when cow power was not fully dispatched because we were using heavy fuel, there was excess capacity. Axan hasn't generated power for a long time, even though they declared availability. That is excess capacity. Now you're talking about Sen Power. You're talking about Amandi. And now you're talking about Eli Power. They all are available. But we cannot take because there is no demand for that. That is excess capacity. The problem we have with the excess capacity has to do with the payments because we are paying for what we are not using. Because of the take or pay arrangements you signed in this power purchase agreement. Mr. Speaker, this budget is a very good thing. It seeks to support the recovery of our economy from the growth of 0.9% last year as a result of COVID to 5% growth this year. Mr. Speaker, 0.9% growth, it wasn't good, but we all understand that this was resulting from the effects of COVID-19. And Ghana, only country that recorded marginal growth. If you go to page 12 of the budget statement, paragraph 56, you will see the performance of ECOWAS countries last year as far as economic growth is concerned. Apart from Ghana and 4 other countries that recorded positive, marginal positive growth, the rest of ECOWAS countries recorded negative growth rates. And so COVID really had effect on our economy. And this budget is the effort of the government to recover our economy from the 0.9% that we recorded to 5%. Mr. Speaker, I'm particularly interested in the performance of industry. Industry recorded negative 3.1%. That is not good if we have to grow our economy. But if industry is to survive and contribute to economic growth, industry requires cheaper power. This is why the levies, the energy sector recovery levy, the proposal to increase it, was not imposed on electricity tariffs, as that will constitute direct cost to manufacturing, which has a higher weight in the inflation index. Mr. Speaker, we have done that because we are overly sensitive. We are sensitive to the needs of industry. And one of the needs of industry is cheaper power. We have been very consistent in working to reduce the cost of energy to the manufacturing sector in particular. Mr. Speaker, budget statement, we are renegotiating some of the PPAs with the independent power producers in order to reduce the capacity charge and thereby reduce the cost of energy and the effect it has on manufacturing. Mr. Speaker, you recall that in 2018, it was the MPP government that negotiated the price of domestic gas from $8.8 per million BTU to $6.08 per million BTU. Mr. Speaker, we cannot forget so soon that during the NDC time, the price of domestic gas, Ghana's domestic gas, indigenous gas, was more expensive than gas imported from Nigeria. It took the MPP government to reverse this. Our gas is now cheaper than imported gas from Nigeria, so that we can be able to inject positive growth into the economy through manufacturing or through industry generally. Mr. Speaker, because of the reduction in the price of domestic gas, PURC had to follow with reduction in the cost of energy by reducing electricity tariffs, 30% for industry, 25% for commercial consumers, and 17.5% for residential consumers. As a result of these interventions, Mr. Speaker, manufacturing grew from 4.1% in 2018 to 6.3% in 2019. And so when His Excellency the President says that we know how to bring back the economy, what we do not know is how to bring back life. He was right, because we have the policies that will incentivize the manufacturing sector and industrial growth and thereby support our economy to grow at 5% this year. Mr. Speaker, My colleagues on the other side have argued variously that the petroleum sector levies that we are introducing in the budget will overburden the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, the people of Ghana understand we have to do extra to recover from what we experienced last year. And they know our track record in reducing the burden of petroleum price effects on them. Mr. Speaker, it was the NPP government that abolished excise tax on petroleum products. It was the NPP government that reduced the special petroleum tax from 17.5% to 13%. We converted it from ad valorem tax to specific tax. We were the government that first applied the stabilization levy to stabilize prices. And because of all this intervention, cumulative net decrease in the prices of petroleum products was 9.53% for diesel and 7.41% for petrol. A reduction which is more than the expected 5.7% increase that we are going to see as a result of the levies. And so if you compare our interventions on a net basis, we are more sensitive to the plight of the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to note in the budget statement the progress we have made towards the establishment of the Petroleum Hub Development Corporation. The oil and gas industry is faced with unprecedented challenges. It is faced with environmental activism, competition from renewable energy, declining funding for fossil fuel projects, and just 2 days ago, VW announced that they will spend $55 billion to manufacture electric vehicles. This is going to cause a structural shift in the oil market globally, as demand for oil for transportation will decline. But progressive countries are positioning themselves because demand for oil for petrochemicals will increase. And this is the reason the government has embarked on the Petroleum Hub project, so that we can diversify the use of our crude oil from transportation fuel to petrochemicals, so we can produce fertilizer, we can produce paint, we can produce other chemicals that are required, especially by Africa and Asia, where the drive for industrialization is high. Mr. Speaker, this Petroleum Hub project is good for Ghana. And I want to appeal to honorable members to support this government to realize this, so we can create more jobs and diversify the use of our oil and gas resources. Mr. Speaker, led to the collapse of the oil and gas industry in many countries. In Ghana, we had our own fair share of the effects when projects that were lined up were suspended. Demand collapsed because many cities were locked down. And because of this, crude oil prices crashed. We experienced from oil. For example, in 2019, Ghana received almost $1 billion US from oil. Last year, because of COVID, we received $666 million. Mr. Speaker, we need to open up our oil industry so that we can generate more revenue. And so at the time many countries have shut down their oil and gas industry, Ghana is one of the first countries to open up. Because just last week, Tullow Oil Ghana announced a $370 million development drilling campaign starting next month to drill 4 wells so that we can recover more oil and restart the industry in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, this is a vote of confidence in the way President Akufo-Addo is managing Ghana's oil and gas resources. We have also made significant progress in the Voltaire Basin.
Honourable Member, I have one moment.
And by next year, 2022, as indicated in the budget, we should be drilling a well in the Voltaire Basin. And this will be historic because that will be the first time Ghana will find oil on onshore based country. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, this budget is progressive, is visionary, is forward-looking, and I urge all members to support this budget so that we can support the recovery of our economy from the difficult circumstances we found ourselves last year to a more progressive, productive economy in the years ahead. I thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.